Not meant for throwing at windows. There's some Joe St. Eggs humor for you. He sent me a care package, and it came wrapped in this, which did make it appear to be something for vandalizing storefronts, but it's not. It's for reading. We got a Bible and a prayer book, and of course, a sticker. Wouldn't be a Joe St. Eggs care package without a sticker. Hot air balloon, very nice. Going to add that to the collection. And the Bible is a New Testament in the Moffat translation. That is a translation by James Moffat that was done in the early 20th century, 100 years ago. Now, this copy is not 100 years old, and this is the revised edition, which, was that 1930s or 40s? Tells you a little bit here. Complete Bible, revised and reset, 1935. But I had heard of the Moffat translation, had not read it myself. Okay, this impression, 1955. So this is a very old copy. It's got a preface to the revised edition, which is dated 1934. Contents, and then we're into St. Matthew. Skipped over there we go, the Gospel according to St. Matthew. So yeah, I look forward to checking this out. I've been looking at different translations for fun this year as I've been reading through the New Testament, so I will integrate this into my New Testament reading. I looked up a little information on that in just to share a little bit. This is From Ancient Tablets to Modern Translations by David Ewert. And the reason I have this, I picked it up at a thrift store, is because it covers some of these older translations that are more obscure now. And great bookmark. There is James Moffat. And they had a little bit in here about his translation. They noted, I liked this here, so popular did Moffat's version become that generally in the years between the two world wars, when people spoke of a modern speech translation, they had Moffat in mind. Even in America, his version became so popular that on one occasion when he was scheduled to give a lecture in a certain city, a billboard announced, "Author of the Bible to lecture tonight." That's funny. They note the 1 Corinthians 13 is notable in this, so go ahead and look at that real quick and share that. And then we'll look at the next item. So here's 1 Corinthians 13. Love is very patient, very kind. Love knows no jealousy. Love makes no parade, gives itself no airs, is never rude, never selfish, never irritated, never resentful. Love is never glad when others go wrong. Love is gladdened by goodness, always slow to expose, always eager to believe the best, always hopeful, always patient. That is a striking rendering of that. Look very much forward to checking that out. The other thing Joe sent is a prayer book. Lourdes Prayer Book, and this is referring to town or city of Lourdes in France. And we won't go into everything here, but what this is about, what it's notable for, is this young lady here, Bernadette. I won't try to pronounce her last name. Bernadette saw some apparitions of a lady, I guess perhaps Mary. I'm not entirely sure. I only kind of briefly looked at the story, but she came to be venerated as a saint in the Catholic Church, and she was exhumed for sainthood, and you can actually see her remains are on display, I think somewhere in France, kind of like a glass casket. But anyways, interesting story in history. But this offers some prayers and some history, some reflections on her life and those events. And then we've got some just pretty typical things like the Apostles' Creed. Towards the end here, just some more general Catholic prayers. Some would even be just generally Christian prayers. Yeah, very interesting story, interesting bit of Catholicism. There's How to Pray the Rosary. So some things that I wouldn't use myself necessarily. I'm quite Protestant, but it is fascinating to see different prayer books and different traditions, how prayer has come to be used and reflected in those different areas. There's Bernadette again. Thank you, Joe. Thanks for sending all this along. Very kind to him. And before I wrap up, I'll share some other things I've picked up recently. Let's see, we've got some, moving some things around here. I had a pretty good run at Half Price Books recently. They had a lot of Christian resources in the discount area, and they actually had them discounted deeply. So we've got The Great Courses, the Book of Genesis with Professor Gary A. Rensburg, just $2. And it has the book too. That's nice. I think Great Courses, like a lot of things these days, they're going more towards the subscription model where you pay a monthly fee and you get access to everything, which makes sense. That's where we're headed. Everything's streaming, etc. But it's nice because I'm finding more of these types of things in used bookstores and library sales very cheap. And this looked pretty much like new. I don't know Professor Rensburg, but from what I saw, it looked like it would be worth checking out. It touches on some different things, creation story. There's a whole lecture on the JEDP theory and alternative approaches, going over the different parts of Genesis and the different figures that come into play. I think, should I ever find time to actually sit down and listen to this, or just play it in the truck, it will be very interesting. Spend a lot of time studying in Genesis easily because there's just so much going on there. But for $2, I figured, why not check it out? Put that together later. And the other thing I grabbed that same day from the discount bin, also $2. The Poet's Book of Psalms. The complete Psalter is rendered by 25 poets from the 16th to the 20th centuries. This is edited by Lawrence Wider. And by the way, I love it still has a Cokesbury sticker on the back from when it was sold brand new. Awesome. But it's got some poetic renderings of all 150 Psalms. It mentions Robert Burns, John Milton, various other people, Sir Thomas Wyatt. I know there's some from Coverdale are in here. Some of them are more true to the originals than others. I know some are more of a paraphrase, some are more of a inspired by the psalm than actually being an actual rendition of the psalm. But I do spend a lot of time studying and praying the Psalms, so I thought this would be an interesting book to check out. It's published by Oxford, I believe. Am I making that up? Nope, it's Oxford. I'm looking through the camera, so until it focuses, I can't read it either. And then in the back here, it has all 150 Psalms in the King James Version, so that you have the KJV, which is quite literal translation to compare these poetic forms with. And of course, the King James, very poetic itself in the language it uses. Yeah, I think that's a pretty neat volume for $2. Last thing I'll share, I just picked up the other day, at the time I'm making this video, not a religious book, but one I've been interested in. I picked this up at my Goodwill for $1. The Emperor of All Maladies, a biography of cancer. I had heard of this, and I was interested in it because we've had people with cancer in my family. My father had breast cancer, which is what he died of. He'd fought cancer a couple times in his life, and it is just something that we deal with so much in our society and have learned so much about over human history. This sounds like a really interesting book. It made me think of The Noonday Demon, which is on depression by Andrew Solomon. It sounds like it's kind of like in the same vein as this, but about cancer rather than depression and anxiety. So I really enjoyed reading this last year. It was very helpful for me as someone who has depression and anxiety or has dealt with them. Been doing really well lately. For those who've been wondering, I'm doing quite well, even with a lot of very stressful things happening in life and a lot of sad things. But yeah, I don't know when I'll find time to check this out, but it's going on my bookshelf with the optimism that I will find time to read it someday. But yep, that's all I had to share today. I hope you enjoyed seeing all these different books. Thanks again to Joe St. Eggs for sending the care package, sending me this little prayer book and the sticker and the Moffat translation. Look forward to checking these things out. And if you don't know Joe, make sure to check out his channel, Joe St. Egg Benedictus, here on YouTube. Thank you for watching, everyone. If you found this helpful, informative, entertaining, please give me a like. I invite you to subscribe if you'd like to see more. And as always, God bless. Have a great day, and we'll see you for the next one, friends.